Hello, I'm Angela, and welcome to my studio. This is where all the magic happens. And today, I'm going to talk to you about the brand new voice artist looking to narrate audiobooks. I've got 5 tips for the new audiobook narrator. Tip number 1. What is more important when you're just getting started out and you may be working on a budget? Is it the microphone or is it your recording space? I say your recording space is definitely more vital than an expensive microphone. Now, let's talk about this for just a minute. I did not start out in this amazing whisper room, and most people do not. What I started out with was actually packing blankets and PVC pipe built together into my own little blanket studio. But it worked wonders. It was actually, I got really, really good sound in there. It was hot, no ventilation in those things, but I got good quality sound in there, and I didn't have to fork out a ton of money to create it. Now, I didn't have a really expensive microphone when I got started. And honestly, if I would have started out with a really expensive microphone, it would have picked up too much that my blanket fort was not able to handle. So if you've got to decide in the beginning where you're going to put your time, your money, your effort, whatever, I definitely say you need to make sure you have a good quality place to record, right? Your studio, wherever you're recording, it doesn't have to be a thousands of dollars studio, but make sure you understand how to get a good quality recording space. Okay? Question number 2. How do I know if I'd be a good narrator? Well, let's take a look to see what kind of qualities you should have to be an audiobook narrator. First of all, do you like to read? Do you like to tell stories? If you've often sat at night with your children and read books to them and thought you really, really enjoy that, you might be a good audiobook narrator. If you can sit for hours and read a book, you might be a good audiobook narrator. If you have the diligence, right, to sit and maybe narrate out loud instead of, when we read a book, we don't normally read it out loud. But try it. If you're wondering if you would have the stamina for an audiobook, take your book, sit down in maybe a small space, because usually where we record is a small space, and take yourself into that small space and maybe tell somebody you're going to do it so they don't wonder what in the world you're doing. But try just reading a book out loud for an hour. Can you do that? Do you enjoy that? Could you see yourself getting paid to do that? 3. What types of books should I audition for? All right, so maybe you've already figured out your recording space, and maybe you've already thought, yes, I would love to do this. Now you're looking at the different platforms, and you're wondering, of all of these books, what should I try to audition for? Well, I can tell you that there are a lot of new authors, just like there are new narrators. And they might not have very much money to spend for narration, but you don't have a lot of experience to offer. So a lot of times that's a good matchup. You've got to be willing to work for lower rates when you're getting started, unless you have some major experience, right? So it's not about your personal value, it's about your skill value. So, and honestly, you've got to look at it like somebody is willing to pay you to get experience. When we go to school for something, we pay them. We don't get paid to learn. But when we're starting a career like this, we are actually getting paid to learn. And it's okay, especially with audiobooks. It's okay that they know that you're new at this. It's okay to say, I've gotten some experience, I've gotten some coaching, I'm ready to get started, and I'm willing to work with you to narrate your book. That's a great approach. It's okay. It's okay to say that you are not that you've not been doing this for 10 years. That's okay. So what kind of books do I recommend that you audition for? Well, if you, let's take ACX for an example. They have books that are per finished hour. That is not hourly, that is per finished hour. So if a book is 30,000 words, it's about 3 hours in length when the audio is complete. So if that book paid $200 per finished hour, it would be $600 total. So when I say per finished hour, that's what I'm talking about. But there's also an option for royalty share where you don't get paid upfront. You take a percentage of the commission of the sale of the book. And some people, the more you dive into audiobooks, the more you'll hear the different opinions on this. Some people say, do it, do it, do it. Some people say, no, never do it. Don't mess with royalty share. But in my own experience, when I was really looking for experience over income, I really just needed to get some books under my belt, right? I was willing to do royalty share, and I did several of them that I'm still making a couple dollars every month. It wasn't for the money, it was for the experience. And I did per finished hour books also on the lower scale so I could get that experience. I did tons of those. So it is completely up to you. I will recommend, though, that whether it is per finished hour or royalty share, especially when you're getting started, do not take on such a huge project as an 8, 12, 14-hour novel, right? Don't do that to yourself. That's a ton of work, and right now you're just looking for the experience, and a little bit at a time is what you want to deal with. So I never auditioned for anything that was over 3 hours. 3 hours and under. Look for short stories. Look for children's books. Look for that 3 hours and under, that's 30,000 words and under. Look for those projects that is just going to give you some experience, but not be so darn overwhelming. All right? And let's see, number 4, where do I audition for audiobooks? So we all know about ACX. That's a great place to go for audiobook auditions. That is Audible's version, or that is owned by Audible. There are also sites like Findaway Voices and Authors Republic and Ahab Audio. There are publishing houses that you can audition directly on their platform as well. And there are also things that I think generally we don't think about, but platforms like Fiverr and Upwork, you can set up gigs that are, you actually put out the offer that you will narrate, and the authors find you. And I have gotten probably more audiobooks through those freelancing platforms like Fiverr and Upwork than I have from actually pursuing auditions on ACX. So just another little challenge for you, a challenge to your thinking, I guess, or to your thought process. And number 5, how do I calculate my rate? So, and I touched on this a little bit, but it really is very simple. The average hour, the average amount of words that we read in an hour is 9,300 words. So, when I was just getting started out, I think one of my coaches said, oh, you do hear it all over the place, I guess, is just take 10,000 words and that is an hour. It's just to have a nice round number. So 1 hour is every 10,000 words is 1 hour. Um, Eventually, I did instead of raising my rate. I calculate 9,000 words for every hour. And so, whatever rate you want to start at, if you're starting at $100 per finished hour and the book is 30,000 words, that's $300. If your rate is 200 per finished hour, it's 30,000 words, that is $600. So that 10,000 just allows you to be able to figure out really fast what to charge someone. So I hope these 5 tips help you out. And actually, with each one of these tips, I'm going to create another video. You can check them out. I'm going to create a video for each tip so that we can go into just a little bit more detail for each tip. All right, so check out the other videos. I can put the links in the description. And if you really want to dive in deep to the audiobook industry, my colleague Peter Baker and Katie Brody have put together an amazing course through VoiceOver Masterclass. I have gone through this course, and even as an experienced audiobook narrator, I have done over 150 audiobooks myself. I have done over 200 hours of narration for podcast dramas and story apps, and I still learned some valuable pieces of information from Peter and Katie's voiceover masterclass on audiobook narration. So I'm also going to put the link in the description for that class. It's some really, really good stuff. So check that out as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep creating more videos just like this one.